Hello, welcome to iFanboy Mediasplode episode 55, the 2025 Academy Awards. My name is Conor Kilpatrick, and I'm here with Josh Flanagan.
Hi there.
And Ron Richards.
Oh, hello. The pageantry came and went.
We're back. It's March. Is it March? It's March.
It is March. It's lousy smarch weather.
Every time. My entire life. How long has that joke been around?
So I will tell you that the other night, my children are currently into animals, a phase they go through, endangered species and the like, and they're talking about chimpanzees. And my wife just out of nowhere goes, from chimpanzee to chimpanzee. And I just go, do you know what you're referencing? And she's like, I have no idea. I'm like, that's The Simpsons. And she just looked at me. She's like, how did that get in my head? I was like, I don't even
remember what that's from.
Yeah. I still knew it.
Planet of the Apes episode. I know the whole song. And then I sang it for the kids and they thought I was crazy.
Right.
No, you'll finally make a monkey out of me.
I don't think we can afford the song, the rights to the song. So this is the iFanboy Mediasplode shows, unlike with the patrons at patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks for being a patron. If you are one, if you're not one, consider being one today. This is our monthly non-comic book media show, as opposed to our other shows, which are usually comic book based. And what is happening? Okay, so we always start the show with the same segment before we get to the main show, the main topic, which is what we've been enjoying since last we spoke. And Ron's going to kick us off.
Yeah, so I finally got around to watching RoboDoc, the creation of RoboCop. I'd heard of this a while back as a 4-hour plus documentary about the making of RoboCop. Thankfully, it is now streaming on Prime Video, and they broke it up into 4 1-hour episodes. And I got to tell you guys, you got to watch this. It was fantastic, right? Because
was this like a Kickstarter thing?
I don't know. I don't care.
Feels like a Kickstarter thing.
I don't know. These guys made a 4-hour documentary about the making of RoboCop. They got everyone. They got Ray Wise. They got the dad from Dead Poet Society. They got Rocket Romano from ER. They got Paul Verhoeven. And they got, what's his name, who played RoboCop? What's his name? Peter Weller. Peter Weller, who, by the way, takes the role far too seriously.
By the way, you said, I almost said Matt Frewer, who played Max Headroom.
Yes.
But I get them mixed up in my head.
And Star Trek Next Generation, Matt Frewer. The great thing about this is that this is a batshit crazy 80s action movie that's actually a really smart sci-fi movie. Great movie. And it is from an era of, do you remember making of documentaries of 80s movies where the guys doing the stop motion animation have their shirts off and they're changing the armatures and stuff like Phil Tippett did the stop motion for this. He's in it.
I don't remember the nudity portion.
No, but they're always like sweaty because they're in the hot studio. They always have their shirts off, right? But they're like not attractive guys. They're like, they have mustaches and they're bald and like whatever. This documentary was fantastic. They spotlight the whole writing process going into it, all the behind the scenes production stuff of like shopping it and taking it to Orion and all that sort of stuff. Obviously all the special effects, like they talked to all the actors. I could not stop watching this. I think I watched it I was watching on the treadmill while I ran. I watched it 4 days in a row and blew through all 4 hours. It was enthralling. It was fantastic. So
is the pacing weird because it wasn't meant to be a series? And
no, it's totally. If you didn't know that it was a 4-hour documentary before it was a series, you wouldn't know. It's like they had already kind of broken it up into segments, and they had kind of like chapter kind of things, even within the episode, where like talking about the special effects or the makeup or whatever it might be. Peter Weller.
When was the last time you watched RoboCop? Like, are you very RoboCop familiar?
No, 1989. I mean, like a lot. Yeah, no, I would not say I'm RoboCop. I'm RoboCop curious. I'm not RoboCop. I'm pro RoboCop.
He's ProBoCop.
You know what I stand for.
Yeah, it's not that.
But it's not like I'm a big fan of RoboCop. I don't have action figures and stuff. You know,
I was very excited to see it, and then when I saw it, I didn't know that. I was too young to see that, and I was like, that was way too much.
They get the I'd buy that for $1 guy. Mm-hmm. Like they got everyone for this movie, and it was really well done. It really kind of gave a better, especially now being an adult and somewhat of a media. What are we, like, pundit or critic? I don't know. What are we? Experts? Are we experts? Are we experts? I don't know. We're people with microphones. No, but as somebody who has looked at film critically, it was a really interesting exploration of a lot of the, like,
we have media degrees.
Yeah, I do have a media degree. You're right.
Epoch.
But it was really interesting to hear, like, what Verhoeven was trying to do with the material and what the writer was trying to do with the material and the stuff that happened naturally on the set. The Peter Weller interviews are just gold, as it was. There's a whole section about all the women he slept with in his trailer during the production. It's like, hey, you're making a movie. It's like you're away at summer camp. Did
they talk to Kurtwood Smith?
Who's that?
Guns. He's the bad guy.
The dad from Dead Poets Society.
I don't know. I know his
My
name.
son.
Kurtwood Smith.
My son.
He's the dad from that 70s show.
Exactly. Yeah. He's in it a lot. He's great. Guns.
Foreman.
You're right. Yeah, that was a good part. They literally got everyone except for Miguel Ferrer, which, Connor, there's some great Miguel Ferrer stories. Like, the guy who played the head of the SWAT team wasn't supposed to have that role. And he's like, but I went to the location early and I ended up calling Miguel, and he was hanging out with Dean Martin. And so I went to go hang out with him and Dean Martin, and the writer of RoboCop was there. And by the end of the night, he's like, I'm going to give you a better role, and made the call. He's like, that's why I always tell actors, show up early, like, it's so, but like, he just threw it. It wasn't even hanging out with Dean Martin wasn't the crazy thing of that story.
Right. That was an aside. Yeah.
Miguel Ferrer sounded like a legendary person, by the way.
He's isn't he Clooney's first cousin?
Rosemary Clooney's son, George Clooney's cousin, because Rosemary Clooney's George Clooney's.
He had cancer in the first season of ER.
Yep. He was on Twin Peaks. But anyway, this I as lovers of movies and people who appreciate movies, go on other people's podcasts to talk about movies, like you guys often do. You guys have become like talking heads on movie podcasts now. I like it. But this is worth, like, if you're looking for something to just either Josh put in the background while you're working or whatever it might be, like, there was some really, really great appreciation of filmmaking stories in this and what went into making a movie like this, and then its legacy and its its place in the 80s action movie genre. So strongly recommend it.
This was indeed a Kickstarter.
Okay, that makes sense.
It raised £33,000.
That's not a lot of money.
No.
Wow, they did that on a budget of like $50,000.
You just do it with a phone now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they got all these interviews, they got all the people, like, it all came.
Travel around.
They did the work. So
you rent the car.
So RoboDoc, the creation of RoboCop, 4 episodes. It's streaming on Prime Video right now. If you have Amazon Prime Video, you can enjoy it. And then lastly, just from a music standpoint, new album called Better World by the band the Kestrels. Completely knocked my socks off. This is fantastic. It's in the shoegaze camp, but Josh, you know how some shoegaze can kind of turn the corner to like just droning and kind of
tends to be what I think of it as.
This doesn't. It's got the shoegaze, kind of feeling, but it's also got kind of like an injection of indie rock or kind of indie pop to it that kind of gives it a little more like shoegaze with vitality almost.
Melody, a little pep.
John Agnello worked on it, so great producer. I think he mixed it. So if you're in the shoegaze camp at all, check out Kestrels' album Better World. Has been playing nonstop since it came out on my record player. So
interesting cover.
Yeah, clouds.
Beautiful. Now when you don't need to sell records anymore like that, you can just do whatever you want with it.
You
just have to move units with the covers.
I always go back to that documentary on Netflix with the one about the people who did the Pink Floyd album covers, Squaring the Circle. Did you watch that, Josh? Yeah, but
I feel like yes, but
they had Noel Gallagher as a talking head, and they were talking about the importance of the album cover, and Noel Gallagher in his own Noel Gallagher way saying is like, these days, I spent 3 hours at the record label arguing over the artwork for my record cover. When I come home, my daughter goes, "What were you doing so long?" He's like, "I was working on the artwork." And she's like, "Artwork?" He's like, "Yeah, the album cover." And she's like, "Oh, you mean the little square on my phone that is next to the song?" I'd always wondered what that was. So it's a lost art, unfortunately, the album cover.
That's when you cut off your kids.
Yeah,
you're on your own now.
There's a what's the Zeppelin album with like inside the bar.
In Through the Outdoor.
In Through the Outdoor. So the story about that is that like Jimmy Page went on some bender in South America and he came back and he told the guys who were doing his album covers, they were like, I need a picture of this bar in fucking Guatemala or whatever.
It's pretty sure it's these guys for the documentary.
I think you're right. I think it is the same guys. Yeah. And they spent like million and like, so they were like, well, where is it? And he's like, I don't know. So like they sent a guy just searching all over South America for this bar, and then eventually they did find it. And he's like, I don't like that, and they built this set.
Yeah. So the design group is called Hypnosis, HIPGNOSIS, and they did the artwork for In Through the Outdoor. Yep.
Yeah. So they spent a lot of money on that cover.
A lot of money. Yep.
All right. So last time we talked about Paradise, but it had just started. Now, as this airs, the season 1 will have ended. That's not right. 8 seasons is not right. One season is right.
8 episodes.
Yeah. I didn't change those.
It's okay. It's fine.
That's been a long week.
Our audio listeners, Connor made an incorrect typo in the graphic.
The 15 episodes, 8 seasons.
We normally have the discussion about that after the show, and don't think that we're not going to.
But I wanted to mention, so first of all, since we last talked about it, it got renewed for season 2. Which is interesting. Ron, are you current on it?
I'm not current on it because Carrie got into it and then we slowed down, so we're behind.
Okay, so then I wanted to mention it because the second to last episode of season 1 was one of the more intense episodes of TV I've watched in a long time. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
it's a flashback to the inciting events of the whole series.
And cool. Okay, yeah, say no more.
Incredibly intense.
Yep.
Everyone I talked to who's watching was like that was like you're like wiped out afterwards. It was really good, really one of the best episodes of TV I watched this year. So it's been a fun, silly, good show, like enjoyable. But the James Marsden in particular, this episode is really, really terrific in that episode. So I'm looking forward to you seeing it, Ron, because I know.
Yeah, I will catch up and we'll discuss. But it's been great so far. Marsden's great. Sterling K. Brown's awesome. I mean, like it's just it's quality. So,
but Marsden as the president is really the center of that episode, so he really gets to own. Brown's great in that episode, but Marsden is really the sort of the anchor of that episode. He's really good in it.
Cool.
And they drop seeds sort of in it that you can see where other seasons would go, because when they announced it at season 2, I was like, well,
how are they going to do that? Right,
what are they gonna do? But again, we have to talk around the what of the show, because it's a big reveal and I don't want to spoil it if people haven't seen it. But anyway, if you haven't checked it out, Paradise at Hulu's been really terrific.
Cool.
8 episodes is correct, but not 8 seasons. That's wrong.
Yep.
Reacher season 3 started up on Prime Video. We're about 3 episodes in, will be 4 by the time the show airs. I just love this big dumb guy. Like he's a mountain of a man. He's good at everything. It's the classic, season 1 was more the classic, really good guy rolls into town with a problem and he solves the problem and then leaves. It's been more going into his history and his backstory the last 2 seasons, but it's a good show. It's ridiculous. I fear for his health. His body is ridiculous, but
is that guy in the League Ungentlemanly Warfare? He was the Dutchman, right?
He was the Dutchman who liked to shoot arrows at Nazis. He's really compelling. He's got a weird energy, and it's really compelling. And it's just he's a good lead. He was on the Titans show. He played Hawk from Hawk and Dove.
I can see that.
He played I think he played Aquaman way back. Yeah, he played Aquaman on Smallville. Yeah, so he's got a superhero physique, obviously, but he's just a really compelling lead with a very bizarre energy, and it works. It's a really fun show. It's if you like that kind of
Thor.
He could have certainly been Thor. He'd be an interesting Thor recasting if they ever wanted to do that, but they don't want to do that. He's also almost 50, so that won't work anyway. But anyway, really fun action adventure.
I'm almost 50. Sorry.
Well, no one's casting you as Thor either.
That train is sailed.
Let's move on, Josh, to what you've been enjoying.
I went and saw Becoming Led Zeppelin. I did not experience it in IMAX, but I did experience it in a theater completely by myself with only a few rows. So it was pretty big from that era anyway. So I saw a trailer for this a little while back. Actually, I saw it when I went to see Interstellar on IMAX, which was full. And I thought, oh, wow, I haven't seen like a classic rock documentary shot on film in a theater in a really long time. And I thought, actually, they're not going to make these for too much longer. Certainly not about like newer bands or whatever. So anyways, the deal here is that they had all
you
this.
say that now, but in 15 years when the Imagine Dragons documentary comes out on IMAX, right? Like,
And they just, it's all on AI up-res. It was just all iPhone stuff, but they changed it into 70 millimeter. I read the Bob Spitz book on Led Zeppelin a year or two back. I'm not a massive Led Zeppelin fan, but I am a musician, so there's enough there that I find them they're fascinating. Their stories are fascinating. And this is from the band. It's not like we're searching deep in this. It's not some kind of monster situation, as I make a 15-year-old reference to my favorite music documentary where they didn't seem to understand they were being filmed. But anyway, so this is more of like this is it goes up through the second album. Basically, you get a little bio on each of the people. There is a ton of audio from Bonham, which has never been heard before, and he didn't do a lot of interviews. And so I've heard more from him in this than I'd ever heard from him ever. As a person who loves music and plays music, and I've been learning to play drums for the past year and change. Like watching them talk about Bonham and seeing him drum on that kind of scale and sort of getting an idea about, what they were really like. Like none of them should have been. Page and Jones should have been that good because they were session musicians. They go into that a lot. But it's totally fascinating. There's this really famous footage that I've seen a lot of them performing a live set. And it's black and white, and they're in Scandinavia or something like that. And like, I've seen that a lot, and they play a bunch from it, and it's amazing, but they'd only been playing together for like 2 weeks at that point. And I was like, okay, that's stunning. Like, it was just like I know a lot of musicians tend to go back and forth on whether they like Led Zeppelin or think they're real, but they're amazing musicians. Like, there's no way around it. Also, if you listen to the theme from Goldfinger, that's Jimmy Page on guitar and John Paul Jones on bass. That's just a little thing that I learned from that thing that I thought was fascinating. If you can get to it in theaters and you like, music, I don't think you need to be a raging Led Zeppelin fan because it's just interesting from a time. You should definitely get to it.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is I wanted to see it in the theater. I don't know if I'm gonna make it happen because it's like bleeding out from theaters. Like it was playing in my town, but like at 4:00, which is just
yeah. I saw it at 10 p.m.
Yeah, but no, I definitely appreciate Led Zeppelin. I went through my middle school classic rock phase, and Led Zeppelin was a big part of that. From grades 7 and 8, getting lost in Houses of the Holy and physical graffiti and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's hard to deny their impact.
Well, that's the thing with me that'll happen is that I will be like, I'm interested, and then I'll put an album on, and I know all this. Like every single song's like a memorable hit.
Yeah,
pretty much all of them because I grew up in those classic rock radios, so I heard them all. So I'll start to listen to an album, and then I start to lose interest for whatever reason. I like them in bits, and I like the stories.
That's really I kind of, and it's funny because I know time marches on, it doesn't matter, whatever, but like I really owe a lot of my appreciation for music and a lot of my knowledge of music to the fact that we grew up in a time that radio still mattered, but B, like there was the classic rock station, there was the oldie station, right? Like my dad would drive me to school.
Your parents listened to when they drove you around.
My dad would drive me to school. We listened to the oldie station. It was like the 50s and 60s stuff. That's where I learned, all Frankie Valli and all this great stuff, and that stuff's just
classic rock still playing the same songs, by the way.
Right. No,
any ski resort is playing the same songs they were playing at malls when I was 12.
Right. But all those radio stations are just gone now. And so like, it doesn't even,
they're still there.
No, they're still there. I listen to them in the car.
Yeah.
Like
they shifted out of the 50s.
They've shifted out of the 50s and 60s.
It's more 60s to 80s now, where it was 50s to 70s when we were kids. Like you don't get any Motown anymore on classic rock stations. You don't get any more of the doo-wop. You get like the Police.
You did get like you're right though. You got like a musical history education from radio because there wasn't anything else. That's where you'd have heard it, and it sort of and you'd hear it everywhere. And so
Yeah, and
it's actually, I was out with my son for a couple days last week, and we were at a ski resort, and so there's always music at lifts and stuff like that. And I was like, I know every one of these songs. I know who everyone, and it's just all genres, all whatever.
Well, because that was the soundtrack of our lives, right? Like that's what I kind of love about it. And it's funny, I guess maybe because we listen to Sirius XM in the car and not terrestrial radio anymore, and all that is very specific. Like it's the Beatles channel, or it's
a vinyl station though. That's this.
Yeah, no, but there's the 80s, 90s, 70s, right? And like but even then, like the whoever's doing the programming is just not inspired. And it also like you listen to the 90s channel and they'll play like Guns N' Roses and then Salt and Pepper. And it's like
90s hits. There's lithium.
Right, but there should be a thematic genre grouping.
I don't think it is. I think see, look at you are sticking to the old thing of these like highly regimented genres. I don't listen to this kind of music because that's what you. Yes,
but I think when you're listening to something, you want to listen for a vibe, right? And it really can kind of shifting gears that fast.
Normal people just want to hear songs they recognize and they don't care.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Then the other thing that drives me crazy is that they'll have like someone talking with like a fact about a band or something like that, and then the next song is not that band, and that just drives me crazy. Right? Like
apropos of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
here's a story about Stevie Nicks.
Right? Yeah. Here's Journey. Don't stop believing. Right? Oh God.
I'm only a couple episodes through this. Court of Gold is maybe three episodes through it. 6-part series about this the basketball at this summer's Olympics. And it sort of goes through 4 teams. It's really cool is that I first thought it was just going to be about the American team, which was, probably the most loaded talent team since the Dream Team in '92. But they also, the story is kind of that this is the first year really where there's multiple other international teams who are, almost as good as America. I have a chance to beat them. And so they spend a lot of time with the French team and they spend a lot of time with the Serbian team and then the Canadian team, and the Canadian team is just loaded with, almost all-star NBA talent. France has got Wembanyama and all these other people. But they spend
how much smoking on the Serbian team.
You can't see it per se, but you can.
It's always sort of covering.
The Serbian coach is 70 something and he is amazing. He is an old, he's kind of a Russian. Like he's like the Soviet bloc era man. And like, he's yelling at them. And I was like, you're yelling at Nikola Jokic. Like it's, and they're kind of taking it, but lots of cool footage of, and behind the scenes stuff. There's shots of, there's interviews with Kevin Durant where he breaks down crying about stuff. Like it's personalities of these guys that I've been watching NBA pretty religiously for the past 4 or 5 years. And it's great. It's great sports documentary in that way. Like there's actually really cool scenes of them, at least the American team sort of going to other, events, like watching gymnastics, be like, this is amazing. And, going to see, what was it? Table tennis. Like they all
there was a couple of guys who were super into table tennis. They were always at the they were covered pretty heavily during the Olympics. I always like to see when they don't just stay in the rooms.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like they would go out and they'd be sitting with people, and so like you've got Steph Curry sitting with Anthony Edwards watching table tennis in the crowd, more or less. And Bam Adebayo was like, I got to go watch fencing, and then like being able to really appreciate it because. And these guys are all stars, mostly Hall of Famers. It's really funny, and this isn't going to mean anything if you don't watch basketball, but the big story from the Olympics this year for basketball was that Steve Kerr, who was the coach, didn't play Jason Tatum almost at all. Jason Tatum's, we'll say, top 5 in the league.
He's on your team.
Yeah, he's on the Celtics. Didn't play him, didn't play but almost every time they talk to Steve Kerr, they haven't gotten to it yet, but every single time he's mentioning, it's really hard to get all these guys in. I don't know how you're going to these, like it's over and over.
Laying the groundwork.
But every time he spoke, he would talk about like the lineups and playing time. And I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing? This is awkward." He was overcompensating. Or
isn't there a Celtics thing starting soon too? Like a miniseries?
It begins, the first episode is Monday, May 3rd, which is when we were March 3rd when we were recording. As of an hour and a half ago, before we were going to watch it was not yet available. It's going to be weekly on Mondays. It's produced by Bill Simmons.
On Max.
HBO, Max.
Yeah,
Max.
he's got an HBO deal. Yeah.
Yep.
You're excited for that? Or are you worried about that?
Oh, no, I totally am. I think it'll be really interesting because we've been watching the guys forever, but they're not all that. You don't know much about them. Like, they don't really speak that much publicly about their personalities. You get their personalities by kind of watching them. So it'll be interesting to see if it's revealed at all after I've spent so much time sort of watching all these folks.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it. Someday we should have a show just about Bill Simmons and the oddity that is his life and career. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm purely not a fan because I'm sick and tired of hearing him do ad reads. It's so annoying.
You don't even have to be a fan. I'm just saying, like, from the standpoint of, like, I didn't know who the fuck he was, and Connor used to send me essays he wrote.
Yeah,
from like MySpace or something, and then all of it he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and now he's like,
and he crashed and burned on TV. Like, he had that HBO talk show that was just a disaster, and
it doesn't. But he's still got a media. Like, he's producing.
Yeah, no, he's made. He sold The Ringer to Spotify for millions.
That didn't matter.
Yeah,
like, he did crash and burn, but like it was a blip.
Yeah, totally.
It's fascinating. Anyway,
all right, let's move on to
the documentaries.
The main topic tonight, which is the Academy Awards. Before we get to that, we wanted to give a shout out to some of our patrons at patreon.com/iFanboy. For the last 7 years, we've been doing a iFanboy Patron Oscar Pool, and
it's very exciting. It's the highlight of the year.
So this year, we wanted to give a shout out to the winner of the pool, which 3 people tied for first: Stephen Hereford, Ryan Mount, and John Nevitz, all tied for first, getting 18 out of 23 categories. Down from last year, we had 3 people get 20 out of 23.
Yep. I feel like that this is like our own personal friends pool. The person who won got 18 out of 23 also. Like, I feel like a lot of people, and we'll talk about it in the awards themselves. I feel like there were a lot of categories that it was just literally like close your eyes and pick one or flip a coin or whatever it might be,
That's how I feel every year.
Yeah.
And that's how, as you can see, I came in second, Ron came in third. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you did not play Josh Flanagan. So there he is.
And this is on patreon.com/iFanboy. There's a post. Connor's giving all the details of everybody in the order that they came in. Yeah, it's
fun. We always enjoy it. Everyone just gets into it. We have
70 some odd of you, 70 people were in it this year. That's pretty cool.
Up from last year. So it was fun to have people get involved. So thanks for playing, and thanks for being a patron. We appreciate it.
My name would have been in the same position.
No, not necessarily.
It's a joke.
So this year, the Oscars happened. It just happened yesterday as we record this week. Conan O'Brien, first time.
I thought that was fascinating because he's not on TV anymore.
True. Right. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, he kind of has got the specials, but
he's on YouTube. He has a Max show. He's a Max travel show, but he's not on.
Yeah, but he's not like he's not an active late night talk show host anymore. Right. Yeah.
And when he was, they weren't going to put him on here.
Yeah, they did. He hosted the Emmys.
I know, but like basically, he got bigger after he was off TV in a way. Or not?
I don't know. It's interesting.
I feel like he's very relevant. I see him constantly.
I think he's very relevant. I don't know. Yeah, but I feel like it was a lateral relevancy. It's not like I don't think he's more relevant than he.
I think he was more influential at one point, but now he's a little more omnipresent because he's controlling his and he's having celebrities on and doing whatever. I don't know.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong that he's gotten bigger, because if you want to be real about it, his shows were niche-y.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm sort of getting at.
Late night was late night, right? It was on at 12:30 at night.
Very niche.
Only people watched that, and then his style of comedy didn't work on the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so he got bounced to TBS.
Yeah, so that's.
And I think you're necessarily wrong about that because he seems to be more, at least omnipresent in the culture of comedy.
And now he gets to be like the elder statesman of comedy, and like he's got his whole character and his bit going.
Right, and Lord knows, I mean, like I see more clips of him
Yep.
You know, like
he has a Sirius XM station.
Right. Yeah, true. But the whole Team Coco and Conan O'Brien needs a friend and all that sort of stuff is you know, is a lot more prevalent, I feel like, but it was a different era than when he was on NBC or even on TBS, right? So
well, I mean, it could be said that his sort of style and his brand of joke telling actually lends itself really well to this era of sort of constantly replayed clips.
Yep.
Yeah.
More than like TV back then.
Now it should be noted, this is not at all to take away from his performance, which I thought was excellent, but
yeah, and
he wasn't the first choice. They did go to Mulaney first, and Mulaney said no.
Right. So because Mulaney was doing the show, All In on Broadway, he was doing that. Yeah.
So I ended up being, I thought, terrific. Everyone at our party loved him.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. I mean, it wasn't. I was a little worried because, like, I like Conan. I don't love Conan because I think he is very, very funny. It is hard to deny his academic approach to comedy. Like, you know, he's one of the Simpsons Mount Rushmore people, right? Yep. Like, so much we love about the Simpsons was from him and Ian Maxtone Graham and like that era of writers. You know, like he's definitely, you know, been behind some things that I very much enjoyed. I find that when the camera is on him, he will turn it to 11 more often than I need him to. But I felt as if he didn't do that as much on the Oscars. It wasn't perfect. I could have done without the musical number in the beginning. Like, you know, that kind of came out of nowhere and wasn't really necessary, but like, I'm still laughing at the, you know, your move Estonia, like that or your move Latvia joke.
And there was like, the little silent joke where he was showing Latvia on the map that if you weren't paying attention, you totally missed it. Which was funny, I thought.
Yeah. There was, I thought Nick Offerman as the announcer was great, and the bit with him doing the announcer thing, that was funny. Like it like some stuff really, really worked, and it didn't overdo it, which is what I was worried about, which is good to see. So
it was a long show, but it didn't feel long to me. It could be because I had like 5 Mai Tais, but yeah, I thought it was fun. Like, it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable show on the whole. I thought the music was fun. I thought he was good. I thought the speeches, except for like a couple of people, were fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because
fun experience.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I love the award show. I love the Oscars. It just what's going to happen and all that sort of stuff. It's always a great question mark. I felt like this was good, albeit a little weird. Right. Because, you know, not even the fire stuff, like the fire stuff, I thought they handled fine. I thought having the firemen come up was good. You know, understanding it wasn't the best year for music for original song. Terrible. And so they jettisoned all the performances of the original songs, for better, for worse. But then replaced it with other musical numbers throughout the thing. I don't really care for Wicked, so I just fast forwarded through that in the beginning.
Oh
so
my
that was
God.
fine. So
that was incredible performance.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was not. People were crying in my party. That's how good.
Yeah,
she was.
My wife watched the very opening part, and she was like, "That woman singing was the best thing."
She sings like an alien. I mean, in the best possible way. Like, she's not a human. Like, her voice is otherworldly.
How odd, given the timing of the business, was the Bond tribute?
Totally odd.
That was totally odd. So if you don't follow the entertainment industry, the stewards of the James Bond franchise finally succumbed to Jeff Bezos, and now Amazon has purchased the rights to James Bond outright, the creative control of Bond, and this happened like last week, right?
Right,
and
but
so
they gave. Go ahead. You go ahead.
They gave these producers, Barbara Broccoli and the other guy, Michael, what's his name? Michael, I forget his name. They gave them an award at the governor's ball months ago. And then this was meant to be an extension of that to kind of like, and
Quincy. That's why they had the Quincy Jones tribute.
Yeah. But to, celebrate their career. And it just happened to be the timing. Like, they must have planned this
for sure.
well before the thing happened. So it was just it almost felt like a not a funeral, but like you know what I mean? Like,
no, it totally did. We were discussing it at our party. It felt very much like that was fun, guys. You know, hope we all enjoyed 60 years of Bond, because now it's gonna suck. So it was just a weird glitch of timing and that cosmic way of things. But I thought all of those bits were fun. I was happy with most of the winners. I was a big, Ron and I talked about this on our Patron hangout. We did our Oscar picks. Like, we're both huge fans of Honora, so I was very happy it won. all the awards it did. Sean Baker is the first person since Walt Disney to win 4 Oscars in one night.
The only person to win 4 Oscars for the same movie.
Right, because Disney won for 3 different shorts and something else.
Documentaries and stuff. Yeah.
And, Adrian Brody's speech kind of sucked.
Yep. To be expected. Did you watch the SAG Awards?
No, I didn't watch the SAG Awards.
In the SAG Awards, when Kieran Culkin went up to accept his award, he made a joke about, "Don't worry, I won't take too long. Adrian Brody, you should take note." And then he's like, "I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that." Like that was low. Like he did his little Kieran Culkin thing, but made fun of Adrian Brody for giving a long speech. And I thought that was funny that now at the Oscars, Adrian Brody wins, gets up there and goes on for 6 minutes. Like
it was not a good speech, and it was like when he stopped the music. Yeah, it felt like he was about to say something profound, and it was just more.
It was repetitive. Yeah,
it was just
exactly
that. But speeches were good. I thought, Zoe Saldana's speech was good, and Mikey Madison's speech was good, and all Sean Baker's speeches were good. It's hard when you're anticipating multiple times going up there.
Yeah,
so you've got to have 4 different speeches. But maybe you don't go up 4 times. So which ones do you do?
Right. And I thought Sean Baker handled it well. Like when he went up for the editing award, he made the joke that he saved the movie and because that
was funny.
But explaining that his process, he said, is as much shooting the film is editing. That's how his directing, and so that meaning that much more to him to win the editing award. I thought it was interesting because he won the Best Director award and it was presented by Tarantino. Yeah. And I said to my wife, I was like, Tarantino's never won a directing award. He's won writing award. He's won 2 writing Oscars, but not directing. And it's funny because Mikey Madison got cast because Sean Baker saw her in a Tarantino movie and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So it's all kind of full circle there.
Which was on TV after the Oscars. So I put it on and it was the end, and it was the final scene with Brad Pitt, Mikey Madison, and Austin Butler.
Yep.
And at the time, it was just whatever. But now it's 2 Oscar winners and an Oscar nominee in that one scene. His casting is so good, Tarantino.
Yeah, so he's the best.
But you're right. He's probably never going to win a directing Oscar because he's probably never going to make that last movie.
Well, I think he'll make the last movie, and then just whether or not it stinks or not.
A lot of people don't think he's gonna.
Yeah,
they think he went out on top with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He doesn't want to go out on something worse.
Maybe, it's a tough gamble. But but overall, I thought it was good. I agreed. Like the songwriting team who won the best song speech was awful. Was like
I think I went to the bathroom when that.
Oh my god, that was bad. Like she goes up there because Mick Jagger presented it.
Yeah, I saw him, and
she starts singing "Sympathy with the Devil," which is like, don't. He's right. Don't do that. And then by the end of the speech, starts singing another song for Amelia Perez, and the Amelia Perez director behind her, you could see him said, "Wrap it up," right? Which is like, but I thought it was interesting in terms of who won and going back to the pool and what our picks are and stuff like that. And when we do the Oscar pool, there's two types of games you can play. You either play the game of who do I want to win or who do I think is going to win. And for the pool, for the purpose of the pool, and for those of you listening who want to play in it next year, it's all about gaming the Academy to figure out who they're going to pick and who's going to win. Right. But a lot of those, for me at least, a lot of those were who I want. It's hard to ignore that voice inside of who you want to win. Sure. That sort of thing. So with something like animated feature, all year we're like, oh, it's going to be Inside Out 2 or Wild Robot, Inside Out 2 or Wild Robot. But then Flo comes on the scene, and Flo won the Golden Globe, and that's when I kind of took notice of it. So
did you watch it?
On Max? Not yet. I want to watch it with my kids, and so I haven't had a chance to. But
it's very long. It's 2 hours. And there's no story, and there's no talking.
But that I will give my son credit. His favorite kind of movie is when there is "quote unquote" no bad guy.
I know what you mean.
Yep.
There's bad animals.
Sure, but
actually, it's one of my favorite kinds of movies too. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
No, this is not right up your alley, Josh.
So in picking animated feature, I'm like, well, Flo has momentum, but it's an international film, and probably people hadn't hear of it, in the voting period. I'm going to go with the safe bet, go Wild Robot, and then sure enough, Flo wins, right? So that's one of the coin flips that I made. That it didn't. Going back to documentary feature, Connor, it was like there's a documentary about Gaza. There's a documentary about Ukraine. Flip a coin. Which issue do you think people are going to align with? Yeah,
I got decimated in the middle, and all those middle categories: live action short, documentary short. I got wrong.
Well, that's the thing. All the shorts are tough because those are the true flips of coins.
Animated
because
short,
you try to research them. I used to go see them in the theater, and I just haven't been able to for years. And that was one of my favorite things, when you go see all the animated shorts and you go see all the live action shorts. But you're just going off of websites' descriptions and other people's predictions, and so it's like sometimes.
And this year they were all over the map. Like that was also fun this year, was that a lot of this was like, it could be this or it could be that.
Yep.
And there was no, a lot of the awards were locked in. We knew Kieran Culkin was
Kieran Culkin was a lock.
Zoe Saldana was a lock.
Yeah,
but
Adrian Brody there was a little maybe Timmy would do it, but
there was still like uncertainty. And I went on a limb and I got it for editing. I got an R for editing, which almost no one else in my pool
I regret that. I went conclave. I fell for it. I fell for the hype.
But I went for actress, I didn't go to me because I just feel like it. I just didn't feel like it. Yeah. Like I had this vibe that wasn't going to be her. But I went for no. I went for the Brazilian actress who was getting all the accolades.
Fernanda Torres. Yeah. No. So no one in our friends pool picked Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was like you could.
We all gasped when she won. We went.
Well, you could hear the gasp in the auditorium in the theater when it happened. That like I don't even think I think everyone thought it was going to be Demi Moore.
Yeah.
So
it was Glenn Close all over again.
And it was really interesting because I was talking to my wife about it, because we were talking about Chalamet versus Adrian Brody, and because those are the two front runners for actor. And I was like, right, well, you got to think about how the Academy votes. And like, when you think about it, like Timothy Chalamet is young, has got a career ahead of him. It could be a case of you just haven't earned it yet, kid, right. But then on the other hand, Adrian Brody, not a lot of people like him, questionable guy. And then when you think about the list of actors who have won it twice or more, it's a very rarefied list. That's like Tom Hanks. That is, those are the greats.
No one mentions The Pianist anymore.
Right.
Like that's not a movie that's been memorable or lasting.
Yeah. Right.
But so like, is Adrian Brody an actor of that caliber?
And he's a great actor. But he's a great actor.
So
he can wear a lot of layers.
And he was great in The Brutalist. He was great in The Brutalist. But when you go over look at the actor side, you have the same thing. You have Demi Moore, who at one point was the highest paid actress in the industry, and was an 80s, all the John Hughes movies she was in One Crazy Summer, right?
Yep.
Yes,
she was. Yep. And then and going through all that, and you got the Legacy Award. How kind of like how Jamie Lee Curtis won. Like, did she win for that movie, or did she win for the legacy of her career? Right. But then, you have Mikey Madison, who's like on the start of her career and then upstart. And so it's interesting how
they love ingenues though for Best Actress.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence, like they like to reward the new girl on the scene. But I mean, my whole problem with those two categories was that Demi was not the lead of Substance. It was Margaret Qualley, and then Zoe Saldana was not the supporting actress of.
She was the lead.
She was the lead of Amelia Press. That was totally Oscar gaming. Yeah. Right? Like, I don't have a chance at lead, so I'm going to go for support. Like, she was the lead. She was in every scene, and she was the first name in the credits.
It's really bothered you.
It's bothered me. Demi Moore was not the lead of the Substance. I'm sorry, it was not her. But here are the actors who have run 2 Oscars that now Adrian Brody's a part of. There's not all of them because there's a lot of them, but Denzel Washington, Marlon Brando, Jack Lemmon, Robert De Niro, Jane Fonda, Dustin Hoffman, Tom Hanks, Anthony Hopkins, Michael Caine, Jodie Foster, Elizabeth Taylor, Gene Hackman. Like, this is
Adrian Brody.
And Adrian, I mean, there's a lot, but especially Christoph Waltz, Mahershala Ali, Kevin Spacey, Vivian Leigh, Jason Robards. He's got 2.
Jason Robards was good. Well, going back to Gene Hackman, the late great Gene Hackman, the snubs at the in memoriam section were appalling. How do you not show Shannon Doherty? How do you not show Michelle Trachtenberg?
She's not a film star. They're TV stars.
She is. She's been in movies. Yeah,
she's been in movies, but she's known for being a TV actress.
I don't know.
It's where they primarily known for.
What's the harm in just showing their picture?
Like there are lesser people. Did they put Christina Applegate in it? Wait, she's not dead.
She's not.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Sorry. No, I got her mixed up with Shannon Doherty. Same era, disease. Sorry.
Christina Applegate was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
And
love that movie.
And Anchorman.
Love that movie. Yeah.
It was interesting to see that they clearly meant James Earl Jones to be the Hammer, and they had to replace him with Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
It's because he got a little bit more clips than everybody else. But I thought no one's ever happy with it in memoriam, but
Ever.
I thought it was better than it's been in a long time because there wasn't a singer.
That was really. I
overshadowed
watched it last year. It was really bad, right?
Last year was horrific because they
Yeah.
kept them in the background of the singer.
Yep.
So this year they just had the band. It was the band. They had the band
Orchestra.
play a song, the
The
orchestra,
Yeah.
and there was no singer, so they didn't.
But
get to
what
cut to
was
somebody.
annoying was that the shot wasn't the full screen for the
That
viewers
was
at
one of the
home.
problems. What do you
It was
think?
the shot of the stage with a circle in the background of the stage was the screen where they showed their faces, and then they zoomed in and that opened up and they showed the orchestra, and then they had the full width of the screen showing the pictures of the people behind the orchestra. I thought they should have done that for the whole thing. I thought that
It had
was
to be
classy.
full screen. That was one of their big errors in
Yeah.
that as well. But
Yeah.
I thought it was better. I thought the music. Some people liked. I liked the music. It was appropriately sad.
Yeah.
It wasn't I just thought it was better done than they've done in a while.
How do you feel about the evolution of the 5 people talking to the nominees model, but then also the supporting actors getting the presenter doing that with no clips?
I like it for the below the line. I thought
Yep.
it worked really well for the costuming. Like you really got
that was great.
Like you really got a sense of the people who made the costumes, even in that brief moment.
Yep.
And that was really great. I hate that they don't show the clips for the acting except for the top awards now.
It's a crime. Yeah.
The first time they did it was because they wanted to get more stars on the shows, but they had like legitimately big stars come out that first time.
Yeah.
And now it's just like Robert Downey Jr. doing something, a little story about each person. Like he's funny and charming, but I'd rather see clips of them acting.
Yep.
Like this whole point of this show is to promote the industry and promote these movies and get people to see them, which these are not well seen movies. Show some goddamn clips. Make me go, oh shit, I want to see that. But they don't do it anymore. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, it was fine. It wasn't the best one ever, but it wasn't the worst one ever. Yeah. So,
And Mark Hamill stepped in for Harrison Ford, who got shingles.
Yep.
How
does Mark Hamill gets that call, by the way? Like, I mean, good for you show up, right? But it's like we wanted Harrison Ford, now we can't get him. We've already learned the Star Wars music, so can you just come and do it? Like
he's game for it.
I'm just saying, make sure you guys get your shingles vaccines when you're eligible because it's
my mom got them and they're awful.
My mom got them and they're awful, and Lindsay got them.
Oh, Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. No, one of my friends got it, who's younger than us, by the way, like in his 30s, got it. Yeah.
But before he came out early in the show, we saw him in the crowd shot. We were like, "Why is Mark Hamill there?"
Yeah.
Like random people go to the Oscars.
I saw Simon Cowell in the audience. Like, why is he there? Like,
but he has to judge people. Well, we have a movie
famous.
We have a movie related email from a listener. If you want to do that in our 10 minutes left of the show, let's do this email from. Oh, that's not the email. Sorry, guys. It looked like email from my small window. Kyle F. from New Jersey. Things are different now with streaming services, but what was the last movie you walked out of? I've been thinking about this question since the announcement of Scary Movie 6, and it just reminded me of how that was the last movie I walked out of due to the audience and just a bad movie. What's the last movie you walked out of?
Kyle F. from New Jersey. I feel like we've answered this question before because I know my answer, and it was Delirious with John Candy. And I was in 8th grade.
You're gonna say Eddie Murphy. I was like, you saw that when you were 7?
Was it Delirious? What is
and
that?
Walked out.
It might not be Delirious. What is the John Candy movie where he's a writer? He's a
Canadian Bacon.
No, it's not Canadian Bacon. Was it Delirious?
It might be.
It was Delirious. Yeah. Delirious. 1991 Delirious. It was in 1991 because I saw it in its theater. It might have been 92. It was because there's a second run theater in my town. I was 13 or 14 and me and my friends walked out of it because we were idiot kids. I've never walked out of a movie since then because I will not go to the movie theater and put my money down on something I think that I might not like.
Well, Delirious was directed by Tom Mankiewicz.
Yeah.
I was
Raymond Burr, Meryl Hemingway, David Rashi.
Mankiewicz, like
the Mankiewicz.
Citizen Kane?
Like his brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Jerry Orbach.
Yeah.
Tom
No, Mankiewicz was born in 1942.
So he didn't write
He's part of the family. He's like he's probably his son.
Family, Herman Mankiewicz, aunt or uncle. Joseph Mankiewicz, cousin. Son of director Joseph Mankiewicz.
Yeah.
So, right.
I was gonna say beforehand, I was like, I can't see Ron walking out of a movie. I was like, his answer is going to be none.
Well, yeah, because one of my friends makes fun of me because she says that you like every movie you go to see, and I was like, yes, of course I do.
That's not like there's a trailer, there's an idea, and now of course you know everything about it. But you must have gone to movies, and you're like, wow, I thought I would like this, and it's awful.
No,
totally.
That's ridiculous.
I don't think so. No,
I
didn't walk out of it.
That's not what you said, though. This is a different conversation.
No, I'm trying to think of a movie
out of it is a principle. Not thinking when I go in, I know I'm going to like it. That is
an
absurd statement.
I would say the most recent example of that would be Conclave, but I watched that on my couch, so I guess it doesn't count. But I hated Conclave. But
have you ever almost left a movie?
No.
I've never left the movie.
I was going to say I can't imagine you would either.
No. Yeah.
So I have a lot of.
The experience is best. Like, why would I leave the movie theater? It's great in there. Like, that's why I love being in the theater.
Well, in the old days, you would just go to a different movie, though.
I wouldn't do that. That's stealing.
Connor, how did we feel when we walked out of Clerks 2?
It was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie.
Yeah. I've definitely been to movie we all saw Spider-Man 3 together.
Spider-Man 3 was a bad movie.
It was a real bad movie.
Jonah Hex was a bad movie.
Yeah.
Wanted was a bad movie. Punisher War Journal was a bad movie.
Yep. I like Punisher
War
Journal.
We've seen a lot of bad. X-Men 3, bad movie. We've seen a lot.
I'm remembering now about Wanted. I'd kind of forgotten about that.
You and I laughing by ourselves in the theater when no one else is laughing.
Well, we were at an early screening. It was a thing, and it was just what was the line? It was get these motherfuckers.
Get those motherfuckers.
The loom of fate, and it was like,
oh, the loom of fate. I forgot about the loom of fate.
It was bad.
You've seen plenty of bad comic movies, Ron.
Yeah, but you almost disassociate yourself from those.
I mean, this is another.
Daredevil.
This is
Green Lantern. That was bad. Yeah,
that was rough.
Yeah.
But
the question isn't, have you seen movies that are bad?
Wait, though.
Yeah. No, because you derailed us by saying you've never seen a bad movie in the theater.
No, but the difference is that when I'm choosing to go out on a Friday night, I want to go see this movie, not I've got to go see this movie for work or for whatever it is or whatnot. That's the difference.
It wasn't always like that. You didn't always just be a Friday night. When you're a kid, when you're whatever, you just go. Or in college, like you'd be like, I'm not doing. I'll go to a movie.
Well, the mentality is different. When we were younger, it would be like, let's go to the movies, and you'd go to the theater. Let's see what's playing. And now you leave. No one leaves just going to the theater to see what's happening. They already have a plan.
I mean, I used to go to the theater and get dropped off at like 2:00 and get picked up at 8 and like play some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, pop into Total Recall, go back and play some more arcades, pop into this other movie. Like it was like just hung out there for the whole day. It was
so you walked out.
No, but I mean,
you never walked on protest. You never walked on protest.
There's a second topic that we could probably say.
Oh, wait, you never said what you walked out of, Josh.
Terrible movies that we saw in the theater. Because
first, you got to answer the question.
Though I've walked out of a lot of movies. My first.
It's funny because you're the cheapest one of us.
Yeah,
I don't believe that's true.
That's 100% true.
I think it depends on the item. If you want to look
around,
you
are 100% the most frugal of all three of us.
Yeah. That's probably true. When I was 7, we went to see Ghostbusters, and I got freaked out by the ghost lady. And I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to watch this. So
well, that's different. Being too scared and having to leave is different.
I know, just my first one. We walked across the hall and we saw Karate Kid, which I was totally down with. It didn't happen for a while after that. I walked out of I don't know if you count these, but they used to show movies in our in Texter, which was the student. It was like a big classroom, and they would show movies in there. And I walked out of Batman Forever, like 5 minutes in.
It counts. You paid like $5 or whatever it was for it.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not watching this, and I left.
Which left. That was the third one. That was the first Schumacher one.
Yeah, it was the one with Jim Carrey and
somehow that was not as bad as the fourth one.
Yeah, well, I was out after
Batman
that.
and Robin was the first one.
I've never seen that or the other one. I walked out of Mystery Men.
Oh man, I love that movie.
I hated it. I don't know. I wasn't in the mood for it or whatever, and it was just in general. I have a Ben Stiller issue. I don't like Ben Stiller.
Interesting.
And I walked out of that, and I went in to see the Blair Witch Project across the hall instead. Not good either. And here's the worst one.
That's a great movie.
Here's the worst. Well, listen.
It's a great movie one time.
Yeah. So
it was a great experience. I watched it in a sold-out Angelica theater. on a Saturday night, and it was a great experience with a packed house of people who were excited. I would never watch it again because you blow the whole thing's blown for you at that point.
I was in Queens, so it would have been after 2006, but before 2011. Actually, I know when it was because it was 2010. I went to see. It was like the middle of the day, and I didn't have anything to do for whatever reason, which is a concept I cannot even fathom. But I went to see 2012.
Oh,
and
right.
I left.
Is a great shame.
I wasn't prepared to appreciate the genius of it. It came soon after that, but like it was the beginning. I was just, this is so stupid because I had a lot of snob I had to get rid of before I could learn to enjoy things properly. And I went and saw The Men Who Stare at Goats instead.
I remember 2012.
I remember nothing about it, but on paper that looked fantastic.
Sure.
Clooney, it was sort of Coen-esque, but it wasn't. And I don't remember a single thing about it. And I regret it, obviously, but I definitely left that one. I don't know if there are any others that I can think of. I never left. The Texter one, I left.
Well, I feel like Texter doesn't count because that's a free movie on campus, and it's like
it wasn't free. You had to pay $5 or $6.
You had to pay to get in that.
Yeah,
you had to pay a couple bucks.
And it was a lecture hall. It wasn't even like that.
But either way,
I saw Kids in the Hall brain candy there.
Either way, there were sort of newish movies. I saw Pulp Fiction there. Yeah. But I still I was like, I don't want my money. I don't want to be here for this. Yeah. So I'm counting that. And everything else, I just went to a different theater to see sort of, because that's what you could do back then. I remember,
that's theater hopping. That was the best. Oh, that was the best. I missed the Comac multiplex. That was my go-to.
Mm-hmm. The only time, this doesn't count, but the only time I actually left a movie in the middle of a movie was when we went, me and my mom and my brother, because we lived 2 blocks from the theater, so we were in the movies all the time. We went to see a Police Academy movie, whatever the new one was at the time, and they were showing it on multiple screens, and we went into the wrong one.
So
we sat down. I think it was Citizens on Patrol. We sat down, thinking we just missed the beginning, not knowing we'd missed the first half, and watched it, and it ended. We were like, "Wow, that was quick." We realized we just stayed for the next showing, watched the first half until the point we came in, and then we left. But the whole time they're cleaning up around us. They're like,
well, that feels like a technicality, though.
But it's technically the only time I've ever left the theater.
Right? Yeah, but it's not because you left in disgust.
No, we were just like,
you still completed the circuit. It was just
this plot's weird. Like they're really just throwing us in
the RoboCop documentary.
Tony Hawk,
they were talking about how in the test screening, when he gets gunned down by the gangsters before he turns into RoboCop, he said like 10 women got up and left the theater, and they're like, "Oh, that's either a great sign or a horrible sign."
That's a great sign.
Yeah. So Citizens on Patrol was 87.
4.
So that's when we were 10.
That was 4, right? That was
4 was the first one.
Citizen what?
The 4 Police
Academy 4.
Police Academy 4. Cop. Citizens on Patrol.
You just said that was 87.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first one was 84. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay.
It was Police Academy 4 in 1987. Cool. And you're right. David Spade was in that one. You're good.
Oh, yeah, young David Spade. Yeah,
I was full on into skateboarding at that point. I could not have been more excited to go see that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever had this problem.
Tony Hawk was David Spade's stunt double and Tony Hawk's twice his height.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever had this problem, but when you go to a multiplex on a Saturday night for when back then when they were packed and there was hundreds of people milling around.
Yep.
And there's a movie playing on multiple screens. Like if you were a kid and you'd leave to go to the bathroom, coming back and not remembering which one you were in. And I remember going to see The Untouchables with my parents and going back into the wrong theater and couldn't find them, couldn't figure out why. I'd seen this scene already, and because you were I was probably 10 or whatever, and it was very stressful trying to find him in a giant theater.
No, right? I got lost at a Celtics game the other night. Yeah. I forgot what section we were in after I got back from the bathroom, and she had the tickets. I was like, oh shit.
Were they paper tickets?
No, she on her phone. She
on her phone.
I couldn't check the section.
They don't even do paper tickets anymore.
Yeah.
No,
so it's fucking annoying. All right. That was fun. Thank you for the email, Kyle.
Go see movies in the theater. Don't walk out.
That was the message of the Oscars.
It was, which I agree with.
Message.
Yep.
So. I'm looking forward to some movies coming out that I want to see. By this point last year, I'd been to the movie theater 5 times already, and I haven't been once yet this year. So
the other day, I had time to go to a movie, and I wanted to take the kids to something, and it was just there's just nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah. Connor? What do you want to see?
Anything. I like going to the movies.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like you were waiting for a movie to come out.
I'm saying, I'm looking at my thing. At this point last year, I'd been to the movies 6 times.
I'm not talking about that. You said I can't wait to go to the movies because I thought you were. Let me finish. I thought you were anticipating a film's release, and I was curious what movie you were excited for because I don't think there's anything coming out anytime soon.
You know what? I just completely erased the experience of seeing Captain America: Brave New World because I have.
I was gonna
sure did, yeah.
And that I've erased it from existence.
That was one of the like we almost went to that. I was like, I guess we can go see Captain America. It was the only option.
Yeah.
And no one, and I just went, you know what? We're not gonna go. And we went and saw The Prisoner of Azkaban the next day instead, because those were in the theater.
I'm really concerned about the fact that I think the next new release movie I might end up having to see is the stupid Minecraft movie.
By the way, Alfonso Cuarón's The Prisoner of Azkaban is a great movie.
It's a good
Harry
movie.
Potter and
Really
it's so well directed compared to all the other ones. It's great.
That's sort of the turning point in the series where it gets more adult and darker.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching this month's Mediasplode. Of course, you can always go to iFanboy.com. You can find all of our podcasts. We've got over 1,400 of them you can listen to, mostly covering comics, a lot covering comic book movies and TV shows. If you enjoy those conversations, you should check them out there. Ron, tell them about your show.
Well, before I do that, Josh, referring back to our earlier conversation about Led Zeppelin, I'm looking at the upcoming movies, and later this month, there is a live concert film from Imagine Dragons that's coming out. So if you'd like to see that, you could. Did
you just pull that name out of the hat before?
No, I did. It's called Imagine Dragons live from the Hollywood Bowl. So there you go.
They are this generation Zeppelin.
If you're into technology, go check out AndroidFaithful.com. It's a podcast I do every Tuesday with my friends where we're talking about smartphones and mobile technology and AI and all the fun stuff going on in the world of mobile tech. So it's AndroidFaithful.com.
What about pinball?
And if you're into pinball, check out Scorebit over at Scorebit.io. We're available. We have an app in the iOS and Google Play Store. Keep track of your scores, challenge friends, all fun stuff. We got cool stuff coming later this summer. So if you're into pinball, keep an eye on it.
All right. Well, there we go. Until next time, I'm Connor.
I'm Ron.
Josh.